I want this gallery wall to feel curated, not cluttered. So I'm building it in layers over time. So today we're working on the second layer. I've been out thrifting and I'm just not finding anything that I think would work for this wall. So before I buy anything new, I figured I would go through things that I already have that maybe need a little refresh, or maybe even we need to create something new. So today we're going to give some light colored frames a little refresh with a warmer medium toned stain. Then we'll give this light switch a little makeover so that it looks a little more like a piece of art rather than a light switch cover. And then we'll add some texture and some pattern to some lampshades that will go on these lamps. After those quick projects are done, I can install them on the wall and get that second layer done so I know exactly what I need to make this wall fun and interesting and curated, and most of all, complete and finish this family room makeover. And here's the lampshades I picked up at Hobby Lobby. What I'm noticing is that they are, they almost look too big for the lamp. I think they're the right size, but they almost need to be like up here. So I ordered some new heart. They're bigger to see if that'll bring it up a little more. I didn't have the little stoppers for the top, or finials for the top anyways. So when I went on and was looking for new finials, I found there's a couple different options. You can get extenders, which are interesting. So if you have, you know, all the components, you can just buy the extenders. They were like 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 2 inch, something like that. But since I needed a new top, I just went ahead and bought bigger finials. So, all right, I just got a notification that the package arrived. So let's see what we got. They're pretty heavy. And they were fairly inexpensive. And that's the other reason why I went this route, is because it was going to be like $10 for me just to get the finials. And it was $10 to get a whole new heart and the finial. So I think that worked out. So I replaced my 7-inch harp with the new 9-inch ones, and they worked out beautiful. That was just the lift that I needed. I don't know. I like them, but I'm not sure. I think they need a little more pizzazz. So we're going to paint them. I looked all over for some fabric, and I found something I kind of liked, but it wasn't quite in the color tones that I wanted. These were very gray, and I wanted, of course, more blue tones. So we're going to paint them. I'm using Dixie Belle's paint, the chalk mineral paint in the color Colonel Mustard, as my background. Wetting the fabric on the shade first with a mister bottle, and then using up and down and swirl motions just to get into all the fabric. And it's not going to cover exactly the first time around, but that's okay. Just keep going, let it dry overnight, and then, or let it dry, I shouldn't say overnight, and then come back, and you can do a second coat, but I have a different technique that I think is going to work better. So what I'm doing is adding a little bit of brown, wetting it with, it's the color chocolate actually, and then kind of blending it out with a dry brush, and then coming back over it with this hatch brush stroke motion just to blend it into the background. We're kind of giving it a subtle kind of oil painting, watercolor painting-ish look to the fabric. If you notice, most fabrics aren't just one solid color in the background and then something printed on top. So to add depth and a little more interest, we're adding those darker colors in there. Then after it dries, I'm giving it a nice scuff sand with some 220 grit sandpaper. And then we're ready for a stencil. So I took it's Oracle 631, I think it is. It's the removable vinyl. And I cut it out in my silhouette in the shapes that I wanted. And I found these egrets and I found these blue herons because that's what's local to where we are in Florida. And I cut them out I cut out the stencil form of them. So you pull out the inside, in other words, to make a stencil. And you don't need them like super stuck. Like you're just laying them on there and getting the outside motion. We're doing is using this as training wheels, as Deb from Deb's Design Diary says. Using that stencil as training wheels. Then we'll come back in and paint in all of the details after. So I just want a nice light shadowy kind of look to begin with, and then we'll come back in and do all the details after I pull off all of the stencils. See the little birds? Just, oh, they're so cute. So now I'm adding the color. Since these were the blue herons, they'll be really more blue than what they are realistically, but that's a little more in my color scheme than those grays. The gray tones just clash too much. I'm making sure I'm keeping my brush quite wet because you want the paint to flow, and really with the fabric it wants to grab a whole lot. So keeping that brush wet helps the colors to blend together, and it also helps the paint distribute across the fabric a lot better as well. And with each little bird section, we're just giving it a slight little background with some sawgrass and some other, leafy things that you would find alongside the water. And where some of the birds are sitting right in the water, I'm using a really, really watered down paint, almost hardly any color whatsoever, mostly water, just to give that little hint of where the water is. All right, let's see how they look on the lamps themselves. Ah, I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. I think it looks like fabric. I think it's just beautiful. I love them. So I bought these frames on Amazon. So these are way too light for what I'm doing now. Um, we need to warm this up a little bit. So I've got some gel stain. We're gonna take these apart, clean them up, give them a little slight scuff sand. They're not wood. It's kind of a plastic coating that's on the outside. So we're gonna take them apart. We're gonna see how the stain does. All right, let's take them outside. Let's give them a good clean, scuff sand, and then put the stain on them. Okay, I'm trying two different ways. This one, I put it on and wiped it off almost immediately, but you see it's not much. I mean, it's a slight difference. It's better, but it's not great. So this one, I'm gonna let it dry a little longer and then come back and wipe it off. So I'm gonna do like two at a time. So that one's drying. I'll start working on this one. So this is Dixie Belle's No Pain Gel Stain in the color Golden Ash. That's the color that I have on the mantle and other things in the room. So let's see what that did. Like I said, this isn't wood, it's like a plastic coating. Eesh, that's kind of hard to wipe back though. Yeah, I'm not sure this is working out. Let's wipe this one back up. Still fairly new. I might have to do like a few layers to get it the thickness that I want, or the depth. So since letting it dry a little bit just wasn't working, it was drying too fast. I guess in the sun it was just drying too fast. I decided to put one coat on, wipe it back almost immediately, and then let it dry and put a second coat on after I let it dry overnight. Because the gel stain, it takes quite a while for it to dry, at least to dry and not pull up the first coat. Because like I said, this was like a plastic. It wasn't wood. So it's just gonna lay on the top of the surface. So just giving it that little extra dry time really helped. So I had 7 frames all together. So I just decided to do them all the same color. I kind of went back and forth. Should I maybe paint some and then stain some? But I decided to just do them all in the same gel stain color. All right, we'll just pop these pictures back in here and get it all set. I think they came out a lot nicer than what I was expecting, that's for sure. And there are a couple of places that need to be touched up, like around the inside here, but I may have some gold there or something like that. I have a couple other picture frames that have the gold rim in them, so I think that'll help tie things together. There, that's better. It doesn't have any places around the inside edge that need to be touched up now because I just covered it with gold. This is such a quick and easy refresh. Don't throw out those old frames. If they're not working, you can make them work with a little paint or stain, anything to make them look brand new again or fit your decor better. But it's getting me super excited. I can't wait to get the whole thing all put together. So like I said before, I wanted to cover this light switch cover in some way to make it look more like a piece of art rather than, you know, just an ugly light switch cover. So since I'll be putting 3 frames in this narrow section right there, I thought I would try this one that I found at Urban Outfitters. It has that antique feel, so I thought if I could maybe roll this out with some clay and see if I can make this happen. Mine's, I think, a little bit bigger than what theirs would have been. And so I also, you know, trying to save money, have clay on hand. So I thought I'd make a go of it. Did it come out perfect? Not really, but I like it. So I'm smoothing out all of the rough edges around the outside where I cut it out so that it looks, you know, more ceramic and less hand sculpted, I guess you would say. So I want to just make sure everything is nice and smooth, and then I'm placing in where the screw holes will be when I put it back up on there. And then coming in with another little detail tool just to kind of start drawing out the design, the little teardrops and other little designs that I want in here. And it kind of, I had an idea, like I said, an inspiration of how I wanted to look. And then it kind of just kept evolving as I went along to make it fit my particular light switch cover. Water is your friend when doing something like this, but too much water makes it too fragile. It also takes a lot longer for it to dry. So I'm just using a mister bottle on my fingers to go back through and mist it and kind of add some indentations and some raised areas so that it has a 3D effect versus just being completely flat with lines in it. And I'm using all the different sections of my tools to really try to get things nice and smooth. And making sure again that those screw holes have a nice opening. So there's what it looks like before it dried. Now it did take a good 2, almost 3 days to dry, and I think it's because it was so thick. Um, and you might notice the screw holes are off a little bit. I didn't notice that until after. I don't know where in the process I got off, but yeah, but they still line up okay. So it's going to work. After it dried, I come back with some like 180 grit sandpaper and just smooth things out. And then I'm painting it with Dixie Belle's, what's the color? What's the color? What's the color? Goodness, the words. They're so hard sometimes. This is not Midnight Sky. It's Caviar. That's the color I'm looking for. Dixie Belle's Caviar. It's a black color so that when I put the gold over top with my rub and buff, it looks antique-like. Because that's kind of the look that I'm going for. I want to have a modern touch, but have a little aged look to it as well. And I'm just applying that with just a little artist brush. I keep one artist brush just for my rub and buff alone. And then I thought it needs to be nice and shiny and to look, more like that original inspiration. I'm using a pour on resin, but I'm actually brushing it on. So I'm just getting a really thin coat. And that's why I have it in this little box and all covered, because any drips or anything, we want it to go into that plastic. And while that was drying, I decided to put some rub and buff on top of the toggle in the light switch. And there it is. I think it's beautiful. What do you think? I am ready to put the rest of this wall together. Okay, here's the plan. So I have this frame up already, and you're probably wondering, why are you putting just a random frame there? That's my starting point. That'll be my hero piece. So then I can put everything up and around it. This is getting a piece of artwork put behind it and the frame refreshed. The artwork's not quite ready yet. So I wanted to just make sure that I had this there so that I could space everything out accordingly. But we're going to start over here on this side. Now get those 3 frames up and then kind of get that done so that I know that's at least accomplished, and then I can step back and kind of look at everything as a whole. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a laser that I have set up over there to give me the center of where I want all the frames to go, because I want 3 frames up this way. I'm going to start from the bottom so then I can then space them out accordingly. That makes sense. And on the back I have the 3M picture hanging strips, the the Velcro picture hanging strips. I have the 12 pound and the 16 pound weight, or 10 and 15 pound weight. So that should be enough to hold everything that I'll be putting up in here. This isn't even a pound. So, and what I like to do is stick them together first, and then pull the sticky off, then put it on the wall. Because before I was putting the sticky part on the wall and then trying to line it up and stick the Velcro, and that doesn't work. it's all done. Because I just put all this up. I thought I pressed record and I didn't. And I'm not about to take it all down and put it back up again. But you get the point, right? So, yay! I want to cry, to be honest with you. I used the 3M picture hangers. I was like, okay, we're gonna see if it works. If it falls down, it falls down. But I did have one casualty, and it's not because of the 3M strips. It's because this has felt on the back, and it's kind of heavy. And I thought the duct tape would hold that picture in place, but it didn't. So we're gonna have to reevaluate that. And that's fine, because once I got it up there, I realized it made the picture look really small with the light colored frame. So we're gonna zhuzh this frame up to make it look a little more cohesive. But I'm liking it so far. There's still some holes, but that's because there'll be a layer 3. But, so do you have a place in your home that's just, it's just a really awkward space and you just haven't figured out what to do with it? That's what's happening here. This wall and this area has been just kind of neglected. But now I feel like it has a purpose, it has a function, and a direction, as well as it's getting pretty. And that it makes it cohesive with the rest of the room. And that is making it really special. So we're almost finished with this family room makeover. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the other videos in the series. If you haven't yet, check out the playlist right here so that you can check out the rest of the videos in the series. Bye-bye, y'all. Take care and have a very blessed day.